Hey guys, Sovereign Jane Jenkins here, author of P Policy, which is a self-help book about setting boundaries and maintaining self-respect to elevate the consciousness of young women and society. So, today I'm going to talk about how a lot of people won't get it. The trauma that you've been through is unique to you. Everybody is not privy to understanding you. And once you understand that your experience made you uniquely who you are, you stop caring about the fact that other people don't get it, because they make certain comments, certain statements, and it's almost as if they're saying, just get over it. That's what it translates to. And someone with real trauma, that's not how that works. And even that statement or that implication is insulting and disrespectful. So what you'll find is that a lot of traumatized people tend to remain silent because they're observing and listening. And once you hit a certain milestone or trip a certain lever with them, there is really no turning back, and there is no redo. Why? Because they don't feel emotionally safe with you. You've proven that your perception is limited, and their perception is more grand, it's more expanded because of the trauma that they have in the background. So therefore, they have more experience with you than you. And in that experience, they've learned how to navigate the world a little bit better, understand people a little bit better. And there's no offense to you, but the truth is you just won't understand that traumatized person on that level. Whether you choose to deal with them or not going forward on a daily basis, that is strictly your decision. But you have to understand that people with real trauma are forced to deal with that day in and day out. And they don't make excuses to where they make that their identity, but they have to constantly keep that in the back of their mind and be aware that it's there, because if someone trips that wire or crosses a boundary, they're more likely to not handle it in the right way if they haven't healed, and they're more likely to spiral and crash out, unfortunately. And a crash out by a traumatized person doesn't end well with anybody. So, traumatized people have to have this way of navigating the world in a safe way, because we know how we are, we know how we tick. So, I think a lot of people tend to joke about that and take these people for granted until it's too late and they can't unroll that dice. And we as human beings tend to take people for granted in general. So when somebody tells you that they have this trauma, they're telling you that for a reason. Not so you can walk on eggshells, but just so you can be aware that they may react to certain things in a way that's not characteristically of someone who doesn't have that trauma. It's completely two different ways of thinking, because we have neural pathways within our brain that it has exposed us to things that we did not necessarily know how to handle at that time, but we developed a way to handle it going forward. And if you have not addressed that trauma and you don't know how to handle it in a safe and healthy way, then unfortunately, anybody that crosses your path can traumatize you and re-trigger you again. So that's why it's always important to address that trauma, know that it's there, and know that it needs addressing and that it needs to be healed. And that's perfectly okay. That, in fact, that is healthy, because if you keep ignoring it and leaving it in the background, 9 times out of 10, it's going to come up and it's going to bubble up and explode at the most least inconvenient time. So, as a traumatized person and somebody that carries a lot of skeletons in the closet, not literally, but trauma-wise, I halfway don't even expect people to get it or try to get it, so I don't explain. That's why I'm a woman of few words. If I have to do too much explaining, you're not gonna get it anyway. So I'm wasting my time, you wasting yours. Let's not do that. Let's focus on this moment. Let's make new memories. And that's my philosophy behind it. I might tell you about the past, and in fact, you should take that seriously, because if I'm talking and I'm speaking, it's for a reason, because I'm a person of few words. If you choose to ignore those blinking red lights that are in front of you, because that's where I'm talking about it, that's on you. So the consequences you have to accept, because in this life, that's what life is about. It's about acting and facing the consequences, whether good or bad. And I think a lot of these conversations make certain people uncomfortable because they have so much trauma and they don't want to be addressed, and they don't want to address their own trauma. So they try to push away from that narrative of having the hard conversations. And as somebody who doesn't mind having the conversations because I've healed them, that's why I can write about them. I had to recognize that some people want to stay stuck. And is that right? Not necessarily, but that's their torch to carry. Is that something that's going to stop me from being me and stunt my growth? Absolutely not, because in this life I chose to grow. And I'm adamant on a daily basis about my growth. So, therefore, I don't expect people who haven't had those experiences to get it. But as long as I get myself, I'm okay with that. I mean, I've healed enough to write this entire book within a year's time and actually go through with publishing it. So clearly, I can address my traumas on a monumental scale and not bat an eye, which is making some people uncomfortable. Good. You're supposed to be uncomfortable. That was the design of the book. That's why I wrote it in the way that I did. It's called The Elevation of Consciousness. Okay? It's not a story written in daisies, lilies, and running within the poppy field. That's not what it is. It's one of those books that is really going to shock you, and it starts off shocking you. I get that shock factor. And once people start reading it, they can't put it down. And I wrote it in such a way to where it draws you in, it sucks you in, because now you're like, what? Oh, 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 and you can't stop. And that is an artistic approach to it, because that's how I write. That's how I choose to express myself, because I'm more so a writer than a talker. And that's why this book is very personal, very private, but very heartfelt to me and for me. And I'm thankful to have that drive to keep going, even when the days were dark and the tears have fallen. But the fallen tears have made me who I am today. And that's why I'm healed and I'm whole and I'm able to talk about it. A lot of people don't want to have these discussions. They don't want to talk about it because they choose to stay stuck and stay stuck in that continuous cycle of overthinking and living a life that's not gratifying because they're stuck in the past. You have to understand that life is about pushing forward to the future and focusing on the future through the lens of the past, but also being grateful for the experiences that are going to come about in the future. So life is not linear. There are so many pieces. There are so many pieces to the puzzle that you don't even realize that need to be into the puzzle until they come about. So it's kind of like life is more so of a scavenger hunt. You're steadily finding new pieces of yourself and you putting it together, and you fully completing the full puzzle slowly as you go along, and it keeps changing. The view keeps changing. We as people keep changing. Like, I'm not the person that I was a couple of minutes ago. I'm not the person that I was yesterday because of the experiences that I had and the interactions that I had. And I'm a nurse, so I have heartfelt experiences on a nightly basis. So my emotional bandwidth is going to be different from those people who don't have those heartfelt experiences, who don't have to say goodbye to people, who don't have to deal with people in a way to where they're saying goodbye to their family members and watching them go out to another place or go up to wherever they're supposed to be going after this life. So I say that to say this: life is short, and if somebody doesn't get your traumas, it's okay, but address them yourself. Be healthy, be happy, be whole. And the book is on Amazon, Kindle, and other online platforms. As always, love always. Peace.